Tisk, tisk. Justin Sun, what have you up to? Well, I believe we have uncovered what happened with World Liberty Financial Tokens and, well, why Justin Sun was blacklisted after being one of the most ardent proponents of Trump, the Trump brothers, and everything that Donald Trump has done, whether it's a Trump coin, whether it's a Melania coin, and, of course, World Liberty Finance. We're going to give our breakdown, and is there some shady stuff happening, or will Justin be exonerated? And big news. Jobs numbers came out today, and it's abysmal. Now, not only is a rate cut a definite, almost at 100%, but talks of a 50 basis point rate cut are now on the table. Some are saying, can we get 75? Can we get 100 basis points? Will the Fed overreact to the terrible jobs numbers in the labor market? I have a poll up. Make sure to cast your vote. Forrest is back for Forrest Friday. We'll get his take on a lot of things. We're going to talk about Crypto.com, Trump Media. It's official. They bought the tokens. Franklin Templeton teases a treasury. We're going to speculate on, well, which altcoin, or was it be Bitcoin? What treasury is that? Also, big news. Mike Tyson is getting back in the ring. Who is he fighting now? We're going to talk about that. We have a lot to talk about today. So, Gino, roll the intro.
Hola! It's your boy Big Rob back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto, home of the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency content. Take old, boring, stale information, repackage all of that up in an amazing, fun, Vegas, win a lot of money, entertainment capital, showgirls, Elvis kind of way.
Wow. Insane.
I know.
Yeah. We got Forrest joining us today. Forrest, we missed you, man. Welcome back. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for joining us, Forrest. A lot to talk about today. Let's start with our man, Justin. All right. This is posted by Quentin Francois. Je ne sais que, je ne sais quoi. What does that mean again? Je ne sais quoi. What? You're just a hater because you can't do the accents I can. I can literally do any accent.
You're just mumbling French words.
I'm not mumbling, bro. That's an actual phrase. Je ne sais quoi. Anyone French in the chat? Let me know what the hell I'm saying. Thank you. Okay. Quentin says this. Now, I want to note, I don't think any of this has been 100% confirmed. So these are all allegations. We're not making any statements saying this is definitely what Justin Sun did or didn't do. We're sharing news and we're speculating on it, okay?
I'm not speculating. I know what he did.
Okay, be careful. You don't want to get hit with a lawsuit. Okay.
Bring it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Coming out of your personal account, not the business account, by the way, your lawyer fees. World Liberty Fi launch mess explained. Launch day. So this is a timeline. September 1st was launch day. Community meant to be 5%, but really 4% went live, right? Not everyone used the lockbox. Liquidity and marketing was 2.8%, not like the 1.6 reported. Together, the circulating supply was only 6.8%. Other allocations included 10% to the ecosystem, 7.8% to Alt5 Sigma, no idea what the hell that is. And they weren't truly circulating, they just weren't locked in smart contracts with vesting. Moving on to Justin Sun stash. He owned 3% of the total supply. Only 20% of his stash was unlocked at launch, and the rest, which was 80%, was still locked. He publicly said he wouldn't sell any. Number 3, the weird price action. World Liberty Fi token launched at 20 cents, which was a $1 billion market cap. Billions in trading volume and tons of hype, but the price kept sliding down, even though the community wasn't really selling. The price action looked robotic. Number 4, what likely happened? Exchanges may have dumped part of their 2.8%. Justin Sun allegedly funneled the World Liberty Fi tokens through HTX, which, what was it formerly? Huobi, now it's HTX, which is his exchange, offering users 20% APY to deposit their tokens. This led him to dump his entire stack while making it look like user deposits were being staked. He was going to fill the gap in user tokens with his own stack when too many sold or withdrew. Number 5, the fallout. Sun got caught. Reports say he used user deposits to dump his personal tokens that were still locked for a while. His address was frozen. Retail realized that they were exit liquidity. Now, before I get everyone's takes, do want to give a big thank you. Today's show is brought to you by none other than the #1 social casino in the entire world, stake.us. Now, you guys probably already know, but Stake US has a mobile app where you can play all the games that you're used to playing on the web browser right from your mobile phone. I was playing blackjack earlier today. So dirty. I had a 19 against a 6. Motherfucker pulled a 21. Anyways, they got games like blackjack, roulette, also plinko, also poker. I'm working on getting a private poker game for our community. But if you want to support the channel, you want to support the sponsors that support this channel, there's a link in the description of the video. And big thank you to Stake for being a channel partner. Rob, is there any doubt in your mind that the allegations are true and that Justin Sun did what the allegations said he did? It sounds like a Justin Sun thing to do, right? Mine are locked, but I'll use these ones and I'll replace them with these ones. What are your thoughts, man? I mean,
it would be like if LeBron James, all of a sudden some news report comes out that he kicked and screamed and had a pouting match about not bringing in players from other teams.
Le GM.
And then they're like, hey, man, you know what? Like, supposedly LeBron just got super mad because he didn't bring in
He would never do that, though,
some
right?
other player.
Yeah.
And so we know that is his motto. That's his brand, right? That's what he does. That's how he operates. We know the same for Justin Sun. He has a laundry list as long as I don't know who's got long laundry lists.
You know, my wife.
Anyways, yeah.
Yeah.
We know this is what the man does. Shady kind of things like that. You know, he's even been the scapegoat for the FTX original kind of collapse.
Wasn't he a skateboard for Luna too? To some degree?
Yeah,
I'm not saying he did anything.
Yeah. Luna was also another one. And so, you know, it's like he's every time there's fires, big fires, he happens to be just wandering in the background. You're like, what are you doing? You know, you ever like watching those like documentary or like murder movies or whatever
I
it is?
want to say something, but I think I'll get canceled.
And then you see that person in the background and you're like, he's everywhere.
Yeah.
He's everywhere. Wherever there's like some big issue, he's there. So anyways, I don't know too much about the details. I'm not going to speculate. I'm not an on-chain expert, so I can't say like, hey, man, this XYZ. But I'm just saying, dude's got a reputation. He's pretty shady. And yet again, here we go.
Okay.
So a lot of evidence that's not looking good for him.
So we see, okay, so you see, and I'm gonna give an example of what's happening right now, and that's outside of crypto. The whole Epstein thing, right? Everyone's like, why is Trump saying it's a hoax now? He said he was gonna release it, yada yada, and then Senator Thomas Massie dropped a name of someone who was on that list, and like, oh wow, he donated to Donald Trump's Donald. Hold on, let me finish. He donated to Donald Trump's campaign. And so they're saying, oh, he doesn't want to do it because he wants to protect the people that are supporting him. Then I'm thinking, why would World Liberty Finance blacklist the wallet of their largest investor, the person who supported them, the person who bought their Trump coin, the person who attended the dinners, the person who was backing World Liberty Finance? Something bad had to have happened for them to turn on him like that. That is kind of my thought process. I want to bring Forrest in. Forrest, what are your thoughts on this whole Justin Sun thing? Yeah, just if you want to share. You think he actually did it?
Oh, probably. I mean, I can't sit and prove it, but I wouldn't be surprised. Like, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. Yeah. The whole thing's just like, it's still, I don't know why anyone would buy this token or own this token. This was a race for the exits from the beginning. I think you've got like the most extractive people in, being the Trump in all of crypto, probably the most extractive people being Justin Sun and the Trump family, holding the majority of this token that does nothing. It's just a governance token. It's just essentially where it doesn't accrue value. It's just, you can go and, quote unquote, like you can't even govern the protocol because most of the tokens are owned by insiders anyway. So like owning this token does literally nothing for you. And it's predominantly held by the most extractive people that have just continued to scam and extract this entire space. So I think they were just salty that he dumped before they did. They were probably dumping, it'd be my guess, or, planned on dumping, maybe a little bit slower, but I think he just front ran them and they got salty about it. And this thing was going down regardless. Like just because Justin Sun dumped a bunch and did some shady stuff to do it, I don't think it would have changed the price action much.
So, and I don't ask this, and it's just kind of an open question to everyone, but do you guys think that, World Liberty Finance was up a little bit today? A lot of people are saying it's worth a shot. Buy the bottom. It's got the Trump family name behind it, yada, yada, yada.
Oh, don't touch it. Don't touch it. Don't touch it.
Don't touch it.
Don't touch it.
There's, Forrest, are you saying there's zero glimmer of potential?
I mean, it could bounce if the entire market bounces, but you're talking about what incentive do they have to make this thing pump? What incentive do they have to make the Trump token pump? They're just going to launch another token and extract.
Well,
these are the most extractive people in all of crypto. They've taken more money out of the space since Trump has taken presidency than anybody else out there. They have scammed for billions. I mean, this they immediately they launch a token like the night before or 2 nights before inauguration, and then they just immediately start dumping on retail. It's just like
on top
these
of
people are so extractive.
On top of that, it's number 30 on the market cap list, $4 billion market cap. There's not even that much upside.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, I understand it can always go up, but at the same time, it's not gonna catapult moonshot 100x. It's just too big of a project, anyways. It's too high up there. So it's like, why take a risk on?
If it was bullish, why would Justin Sun want to dump it so badly and do shady things to dump it immediately? If this was bullish and this was actually going to go up,
no, he was trying to give himself a lower entry. Okay, Deed. Okay, so Forrest, your thing was. Why would you buy it? They're the largest holders. Well, can't one argue? And I'm not saying this is the position I take, but I'm trying to play devil's advocate here. Can I argue that because they hold such a big position, it's to their benefit to make the project successful?
But what does success look like, and how does the token go up? Right? Like you can look at Hyperliquid. And you can say, oh, they have like these, $2.7 million in buybacks every day. You can look at Pump Fund, which is like a platform for meme coin scams, like the most scammiest platform there is. But that token is doing great today because they've $2 million a day in buybacks, and it's pumping. Like there's no buybacks, there's no use for the token. It's just like it's a nothing token. It is just a token that is attached to the Trump family name. And I just think they'll do some things to pump it, just like they did some things to they announced you get a dinner with Trump if you own Trump token. But all the people that bought into that pump just immediately got dumped on. Like I can't find like at least the Trump token, at least the Trump meme coin is a meme coin. This is just like it's not even a meme coin. It's a governance token, but like. You're never going to own enough to influence any governing decisions whatsoever. It's like, I can't look like I would stay very far away.
Forrest, I have some news. Now it's not official, but to kind of combat what you're saying, with Hyperliquid, with the buybacks, World Liberty Finance community proposes using 100% of protocol-owned liquidity fees for buyback and permanently burning, reducing the supply. So you have that.
But where are they going to generate liquidity fees from?
That's not the question here, guy. Okay, they're gonna burn it. All right.
Yeah, and the amount of money that they're gonna bring in compared to the amount of locked supply, I think it's like 75% locked supply. Still, It's not even gonna come close. I don't like. I could be wrong. Maybe they show up and they turn this thing into a massive success and it ends up being great. But I just as soon own Aave. I'd just as soon own like any other DeFi protocol that has gone through a bear market of distribution, has all the tokens out there, and is set up for success. There's a million other options of things that I'd buy Pokemon. I'd invest in Pokemon cards before I'd invest in World Liberty.
And then you mentioned Aave. Aave, there another DeFi play. I mean, I guess you can even. I don't even know if you want to call World Liberty Finance DeFi, but anyways. Similar categories, as you mentioned, very similar market cap, both at $4.5 billion. On the upside for Aave, which has performed pretty well, I think is leaps and bounds at a better position than World Liberty Finance. You can look at all-time chart. We've seen it as low as $50 this last bear market, and as high as $500. And so, if the ecosystem for Ethereum keeps flourishing and blossoming, and DeFi moves into institutions, which it seems like that's something that institutions have said they wanted. Now, whether or not they actually use it is a different story. But if they do, I think Aave is the clear-cut winner when it comes to DeFi, especially on the institutional level. I could see this at over $1,000 at the end of the bull market or top of the bull market. Yeah,
I mean, I obviously, like, if I'm picking Aave or World Liberty, I'm going Aave, right? I guess I always try to look at the other side, and people might say, well, World Liberty Financial might have an edge in, digital asset treasury.
But there's certain things that just don't have another side. It is what it is. Like, you launch another meme coin, there's no other side to it. You can just look at it for as black and white as it is. Like, hey, you know what? Maybe this thing will catch a community frenzy and the price will 5 or 10x and I can make some money there. But I don't know, man. I think it's pretty black and white with that one. Same thing with like FTX token. Like, it's pretty black and white. It's a dead project. Could it rally? Like, I don't know. I see zero incentive into buying World Liberty Finance.
Where is the FTX token, by the way? It's ranked number 170. Still has a market cap of 250 million. Pretty good, guys. Pretty good. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the Fed. Jobs numbers came out today. So I have a few things to share. So you have a one from a Bitcoin archive, August U.S. non-farm payroll data. The expected was 75,000. The actual was 22,000. Think about that miss, okay? It's like saying, what's a good, I don't know what's a good, I'm not very good at analogies like my friend Rob here is, but this is a pretty big disparity from what they expected and what they actually got. Huge miss, September rate cut coming. It gets worse. All job gains were part-time. Full-time jobs actually fell by 357,000. Part-time jobs gained by 597,000. Now, does this include gig work like Uber driving or DoorDash, whatever? I don't know. Then you have the unemployment rate, 4.3%, the highest since 2021. This is from Stock Talk. Markets not pricing in 100% chance of a Fed rate cut at the September 17th meeting. Odds of 25 basis point cut now at 88%. Odds of a 50-point rate cut rises to 12% after this morning's weak jobs data. And then here's the Fed Watch tool. 88.2% believe. Now the option of a holding it steady is not even there anymore. Right now you have 25 cut, 50 cut. 25 is at 88.2%. And a 50 basis
then
point.
Look at towards the bottom there. Just yesterday, where it says 1 day on September, just yesterday it was not even a chance for 50 basis points, and you had technically a 3% chance on a pause.
Yeah. Now it's 100% of a rate cut.
Yeah, so a rate cut is coming per the CME, and you know what? We got about a 10% chance that we get a 50 basis point, which.
Now you hear people throwing out numbers like 75 or 100. If the Fed, I don't think so either. If the Fed decides,
especially the meeting is what, in like 2 weeks, roughly, a little less,
a week from this coming Wednesday.
Yeah. So,
Forrest, I have a chart which we'll get into in a second. But Forrest, I want to ask you first. Thoughts on the numbers that came out? Are you with the CME? Is it an absolute certainty we get a rate cut? And then what do you think that rate cut's going to be?
I think we definitely get a rate cut, probably 25 or 50. I don't see anything over 50. But look, Jerome Powell at the Jackson Hole meeting essentially said that they are accepting higher inflation to tackle higher unemployment and try to deal with the unemployment issue. So the data that's been coming, obviously they've probably had earlier access to that data than what's being published on a monthly basis. So I think around Jackson Hole, they could probably see that unemployment was rising, which is the number one sign of a recession. As the word, like people talk about the yield curve, people talk about all these different things that could potentially signal a recession. Unemployment just breaks everything. It is the backbreaker for an economy. So they're basically saying that we'll accept higher inflation if it means bringing unemployment down. So I do expect them to cut rates. And Maybe they'll do so even more aggressively than they had previously planned. Now that we have some high, some bad unemployment data, so maybe we'll get 50. I'd probably say like kind of I'm 50-50 between 25 and 50, but I'd probably lean a little bit more towards 25 just because I think they're going to want to try to save face, and they've been so reluctant to cut to begin with. I don't know if they'll want to panic cut.
Maybe Trump was right. Maybe he is too late, pal. Rob, what are your thoughts? Are you kind of with Forrest there? You think 50, 25? And how do you think the market reacts when the rates go?
It'll be 25, but the market's already reacting. Take a look at the mortgage rates. Saw the biggest one-day drop in over a year. The mortgage rate.
Does it tell you what it's at now?
The 30-year fixed dropped 16 basis points to 6.29.
Oh, wow.
That's
a pretty big jump.
Pretty far off of its previous high, which was this cycle.
Over 7, right?
Which was 7.08. And that's just off of the anticipation of a cut. So once the cuts get here, we're expecting this to even drop further down. With the 0.25 basis cut, or 0.25% cut, you're going to see more than likely a sub 6% 30-year fixed mortgage rate, which we haven't seen in a long time. And if you couple that with additional cuts coming in some of the other meetings that are to come, we could find ourselves in an environment where people are refinancing their house and pulling money out. And you don't need to pull money out to invest in crypto, but you pull money out, you remodel the house. Some construction guy makes more money. He's paying more people, and then his staff is internally buying more crypto, and so that's just how you fuel the economy. And a lot of the time it starts with the housing market, because that's what most Americans nowadays have as equity, right? Is in their home. And you unlock the equity in your home when you drop mortgage rates. And we saw a big drop today, and that a lot of that will funnel over to crypto. And we've seen it time and time again. So,
I'm just looking up data. So, I asked ChatGPT how many homes were bought after 2022. That's when the rates started going up, right? So and here are the numbers. 2022 existing home sales, 5 million, over 5 million. 4 million in 2023 and 4 million in 2024. So you have a total, let's call it 10 million. 10 million homes were bought at elevated interest rates. Okay. So my thought goes to housing prices have gone up, correct? I bought my house in 2020 and it's gained roughly 40 to 50%, 30 to 40% ish. Okay. I'm giving round numbers. Now you have a group of people, like the average person, the retail investor, we talk about that all the time. They have equity in their homes that they bought in 20, 21, well, maybe not 20 because they had a lower interest rate, but 21, 22, 23, 24. And now they're sitting there like, okay, now I have all this cash that's illiquid that's sitting in my home. I can't refi because the interest rates are higher, right? I got it at a 5, I can't refi at a 7, right? Now, once it drops below their original amount, even if they have to bite the bullet on refinancing to a 5.2 versus a 5, but you get to unlock $50,000 to $200,000 in equity in liquid cash, that could be, something that if that happens and then you extrapolate that out, well, how much is that going to go into the markets, into the stock market, into the crypto markets, into Bitcoin, and then we can talk about that moving forward. So those are some numbers. Now, here's an interesting chart. This was posted by Alejandro Bitcoin. Everyone is bullish on rate cuts. Big mistake in 2000 and 2008. Cuts didn't save the markets. They marked the start of a collapse. The rally comes first. The pain always follows. This is a chart they show. In blue is your federal funds effective rate, so your interest rate. And then in black, you have the S&P. And it shows when they cut rates get cut, prices S&P drops. Rate gets cut, S&P drops. Rates are cut, S&P drops. Rates start getting... So... Now, I would like to note, though, that we're talking about three instances, scenarios: the dot-com crash, the great financial crisis, and COVID. Those, a lot of people say, are black swan events, right? Unless you think a black swan event is coming, I don't know how much you can put behind this chart, but I'm curious to get your thoughts, Forrest. everyone is saying, my co-hosts included, myself included to some degree, rate cuts equals bullish. What are your thoughts about this chart, and what do you think is actually going to happen if you were to kind of just make an educated guess?
Yeah, my educated guess is that initially they'll be very bullish, and then we'll get a whipsaw back down. But you have to kind of like frame it in the sense that the Fed's choosing inflation over unemployment, right? So it's not like it's not like they're just going to keep rates high and let unemployment rise. They've kind of already done that, and now they're gonna try to tackle unemployment, and they're gonna let inflation rise. Well, when inflation rises, that's generally okay for asset prices. Generally, the first part of inflation or reinflation is generally good for asset prices. So I think initially you'll see asset prices do well, and it's difficult to nail down the time frame on these things. I don't know if it'll be a couple months, maybe 6 months, maybe 12 months, but eventually inflation rises again and it rears its head. The last thing you want is them to be in a situation where we don't really know if they're cutting too late. If they're cutting too late to help solve this unemployment problem, then we have a situation where we could have a really nasty period of time where we've got high unemployment because it takes time for their lower rate regime to kick in and actually tackle this unemployment issue. All the while, you've got job displacement due to AI, the rise of AI, which is a cost-cutting mechanism for a lot of these companies. But then you also have higher inflation as well. So we get into a situation where we have high inflation and high unemployment, and that's a real problem. So I'd say there's absolutely risk of recession. But I think the apex asset right now that solves for both of those scenarios is gold. That's why gold is ripping to all-time highs. Been pounding the table on both gold and silver. I continue to pound the table on gold and silver. I think if you don't own gold and silver with a significant portion of your net worth, you're putting yourself at an extraordinary amount of risk. But very, very bullish gold. Gold does really well in recessions. It does really well during times of war. It does really well when unemployment rises, and it does really well when inflation rises. So yeah, I'm just like extraordinarily bullish on gold and silver, and hope that we get kind of a Goldilocks period into or shortly after these rate cuts go into effect, where maybe risk assets reinflate and we do get a little bit of a exuberant period of time where we can enjoy some profits on risk assets. But super bullish gold regardless of what happens next.
Yeah. And here's the thing. If what you're saying comes to fruition, right, a recession, yeah, guess what the governments like to do when shit hits the fan? They like to print money. And when they start printing money, they try to inflate the economy back up, inflate assets back up, or equities. And so that would be to the benefit of everyone who's holding digital assets. We got a $20 super chat from CP674 said, when is the Mance Harmon interview going live? And who has more tokens, him or Lehman? Either Monday or Tuesday of next week. And I'm not going to answer that question. You're just going to have to wait and watch it, bro. But thank you for your support. We really appreciate it. Rob, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about that chart? You think the same is going to follow? Or
I don't put much behind it because to your narrative, the reason being is that the last two rate cuts were in response to economic turmoil, right? You had COVID, and then prior to that, you had the financial crisis, and things were already coming on unwinding. So the previous rate cut was before that, the .com. Well, you know what? This bubble just burst at that point in time. And so I think that realistically, the Fed rate cut has been a tool that's been used when shit hits the fan and the economy is spiraling out of control. They're trying to save it. They come in. This situation is different, right? This situation is, hey, you know what? We had spiraling inflation out of control because of loose monetary policy, printing, and, just the politics that we saw post-COVID. And they had to raise rates to slow down the inflation. Now, we're just coming back to the mean. And so it's not because things are spiraling out of control. Sure, job numbers are not looking good, but I don't think much has changed, honestly. I think the numbers are what they are. I mean, I'm sure like big tech is laying off. You know, AI is taking jobs to some degree. And I don't know. I don't think that the economy is on a brink of a collapse. At least that's not my vibe. Anything can happen, but I don't know.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to move on. I do have another poll up. So the original poll was rate cuts, and a majority of you believe we'll get 25 basis points at 50%. 36% of you believe we'll get 0.25%, 50% of you believe. 50 basis points, which is 0.5%, 36% of you believe, and then 9% of you think we're going to get 100. I don't think we're going to get 100. I think it's going to be 50, in my personal opinion. All right, let's watch this video, and then we'll talk about Bitcoin price action, and then we'll look at a Bitcoin chart. So first, we're going to queue up a BTC chart. We'll play this video here. This is Eric Trump talking about the markets, and, well, he says it's going parabolic. Let's take a listen.
Every single day. A year ago, Jamie Dimon was saying, we're not going to touch cryptocurrency, and now they're probably running at digital assets faster than anyone. You see what BlackRock's doing. You see, as I mentioned, what Schwab's doing. You see what nation states are doing. You see what states in this country are doing. Look what Texas just voted on, right? In their legislature, literally being able to custody Bitcoin on their balance sheets, right? So all of a sudden you've got all these cracks in the dam that are breaking. The people who get in now are the people who are getting in early. I believe that with all of my soul. And this is a global asset. This is an asset that everybody wants. This is an asset. It's probably the only asset in the world that has limited supply. There's 21 million. There will never be another one, unlike gold, unlike other commodities. And I'm just watching it from afar as for the first time, the capital markets really have access to it or getting access to it. And so I think cryptocurrency is in its infancy. And I think the trajectory of Bitcoin and of digital assets is going to be parabolic. And I really think we're going to have one of the greatest companies in the ecosystem. And that was launched, obviously, minutes ago.
Talking about his company, American Bitcoin. We have this from Bitcoin Archive. Bitcoin seasonality. September is usually the worst month, but October and November are the strongest months. Here's an average of the returns. You can take a look here as November on average, 46%. October on average, 21%. September on average, the worst month, again, 3.77% down. I'm going to go to you first, Rob, and then we'll go to Forrest. We'll ask him his opinion and go to chart. But you think price action follows suit here historically, and September is bearish? And then what are your thoughts on what Eric Trump said? Is that enough to offset and fight against, go up toe-to-toe against what is happening with the jobs and with the economy?
I don't know if it's September or if it's October, but there's going to be a big move here. We've just keep going up and hitting this 120 range. We started here back in July, and right there at knocking on the door of 120. We put our all-time high middle of last month, and it just seems like we're stalling on this next leg up. I don't think that we're going to pull back down to the 80s. I don't think that's coming. So if we don't go down to the 80s, it's more or less a question on when breakout. We're in a bull market. I have no doubt that we're going to set more all-time highs, and so. I mean, I guess anything's possible, but I find it hard to believe that we're not going to go put more all-time highs. And if we do, if that's the case, I think it happens in the next 30, 60 days.
Which would October, which would be October, November.
Yeah.
So
I think it could be. I think it could be by the end of the month, within the next 30 to 60 days. So, I guess I think that we could see a big move out of Bitcoin by the end of the month. But got to start seeing some progress now. It seems like a lot of steam has left the market on Bitcoin. It's just, we just get a pullback every time we go up to like that 112. We went up to 112, what was it, 2 days ago, pulled back, 112 yesterday or early this morning, even as high as 113, pulled back immediately. And so I don't know. I think we're at this like nice little inflection point. Are we going to break out above the 113 and get up back into 115 to 120 range? I don't know. if we do lose 110, I think that it might be October for us to get to the new all-time highs. But back to Eric Trump, though, he's just kind of speaking the gospel when it comes to Bitcoin, and he's talking about like, hey, institutions coming in though, and so I think he kind of represents that new institution investor, right? That new company that has really kind of stalled. Think about all the companies in America that have stalled. Perhaps, they're looking at Meta, they're looking at Apple. They're just like, you know what? We can't make up ground. What else can we do? I think that Eric Trump represents the mentality of a lot of these new companies. And then on top of that, I mean, you have a situation where money printers are going to take a look at this. This is, it's not just here in the U.S. I mean, the M2 money supplies, breaking all-time highs yet again. And it's not just us, U.S., China, Euro, Japan, all printing. So you wonder why is my money worth less? And why is, Bitcoin keep occurring value? Well, it's got a finite supply where the monetary instrument that you buy with does not. I'm curious to see what Forrest has to say on the charts because I'm at an impasse on what we're going to see this month. But I feel pretty confident where we're going to be by the end of the year. But what do you got, Forrest?
Yeah, I'll share my screen here. Yeah, I'm bullish for the next 60 days or so. I actually think more bullish on alts than Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is either topped or close to topped for quite a while. But as of right now, I actually do think for the foreseeable future, I do think it's a good buy. So one of the things we've got going on here is this bottoming pattern that has been essentially the bottoming pattern of the entire cycle, going back to the bottom around 15K. You essentially have a falling wedge, and this is a very difficult pattern to trade because it just looks horrible. It looks terrible until it just finally puts in a bottom and then starts rallying again. So you have this descending wedge into your prior impulse. So you have like this breakout impulse where you had a lot of buyers. And essentially, all those buyers just get kind of chopped up over time, and you see price come down into support in that region of where you had that big impulsive breakout, right? And we've seen this, time and time again, even with the latest, whatever that caused this bottom, I forget. It was like the Israel-Iran war where the U.S. bombed, the facility in Iran. Yeah. But where do we actually find support? Somewhere in that impulsive breakout, and that's essentially where we're at right now. But we're actually seeing like very disappointing price action in terms of we've even gone below this impulse a few times, and we're kind of just sitting here at this impulse. But we are in this descending wedge. We are trying to break out. We are, seeing you're trying to put in an inverse head and shoulders on the lower time frame. So for the foreseeable future, being the next 30, 60 days, I know September gets kind of iffy, but I'm actually pretty constructive on our October. And I do think we could see, spurts of upside in September. But I'm not necessarily like aiming for very high price targets on Bitcoin. Like 150K would be my best case scenario, which is very different than where I was a couple months ago when we bottomed out down here around 75K. I was very long, very hopeful. And then Bitcoin just continued to disappoint. I was calling for, the potential for us to see, 200, 300K this year. And then we just had failure to launch every step of the way. We fell into these horrible flags. And then when we finally broke out, we just met resistance and got stuffed repeatedly, which has kind of slowed us down quite a lot. It's not impossible for us to see a huge run, but I'm kind of expecting more distribution than anything. And that doesn't necessarily mean that we can't see more upside. You go back to, last cycle, you actually got the lower high. You got this fell off, and this actually looks very similar to where we're at right now. This fell off, and made a lower high, but on that lower high, ETH set its, I've got the ETH chart, pulled up here. ETH set its, all-time high during that period of time. for the cycle. And then we ended up kind of getting a double top. We ended up getting a recovery, but ETH went into its kind of blow off phase on that lower high for Bitcoin. That was kind of our local top. So that's kind of what I'm expecting right now over the next 30 to 60 days. I think Bitcoin's going to try to find a bottom here, and it's going to run up into 120, maybe runs up to like 130, 133, while altcoins explode and find their top. So maybe we see 7K ETH, maybe we see 6K ETH, maybe we see $5 to $7 XRP, maybe we see 300 plus, Solana. But I am expecting a bit of an alt season into a weak shoulder for Bitcoin. And then I do expect, this is my base case. I'm just sharing my base case, which can change, right? My base case before was that we'd see way more upside. And now we've seen the slumpy price action out of Bitcoin. I've had to adjust my base case. So my base case now is and my base case for a while has been that we wrap up this cycle by November-ish. So I do think that October will be very, very productive, very bullish, but come mid-November, I'll be wanting to be much more defensive into December, and then maybe we reassess in the new year, let some more macro data come out, see how the markets are doing. Are they printing a bunch? And maybe we get an opportunity to, and again, I'm not calling like for a bear market where we saw I'm not calling for anything like we saw with FTX, where Bitcoin goes back to 15K. Or anything like that, but maybe we get a slumpy, longer bout of price action where we have to go flush 100K, or we hold 100K a few times before we get to go to a 150K next year, at some point. But for the foreseeable future, I am 30 to 60 day time range bullish, predominantly on alts over Bitcoin, and December, January, kind of like the year turnover. I'm actually a little bit more defensive. I know December and January can be pretty bullish timeframes seasonally, but I kind of think we're going to front run a lot of that bullishness into October this time around.
I'm curious what you guys think. We've had lots of bullish narratives coming out of the U.S., right? About as bullish as you can get, right? Donald Trump has been labeled the crypto president. We've had lots of legislation go into Congress. Some passed, some the last that was a clarity has passed the House, but still has not been passed into law yet. But that should be coming around the corner, or at least people have said that they're expecting it within the next few weeks. If that's possible, who knows? But anyways, it seems like the U.S. has just been all over the headlines. Do you guys think that if the U.S. comes out and announces they bought Bitcoin, that is that big giant catalyst that we've expected it to be? Because it seems like all of the bullish news we've heard from the presidential office and from just Congress hasn't fueled the markets the way we thought they were. Do you think that the U.S. buying Bitcoin, is that we're expecting it to happen at some point? You think that is going to catapult Bitcoin to that $200,000 mark? Or do you think it's just like, hey, maybe it's everyone's super euphoric, thinks it's going to happen, and then you know what? You get like a big 10% run on Bitcoin, and then that's kind of it.
It's a good question. I think if they do announce that they've been buying or they're going to buy, I do think it'll move the markets.
I agree. I going into this election, I always thought if that happened, we would see that, $200,000 Bitcoin, that maybe 300,000, so much buy demand on a limited supply. You're talking, hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin, which is not available on OTC currently. And, that's going to cause a supply demand issue where it's going to force the price up. And I don't know. I'm starting to think, I'm like, man, what else needs to happen other than that? Everything else has been about as bullish as it gets. Like, I don't know.
Forrest, what do you think?
Yeah, look, I'm going to share a chart real quick. I know, I'm going to segue back to answer the question. This is China gold stock level on where this is like China's buying an absurd amount of gold right now. all the BRICS countries are stocking up on gold. Because the dollar is collapsing. I don't think anybody here would disagree that the US dollar and fiat currency as we know it is collapsing. There's two bets going on right now. The BRICS countries are aping, even the Saudi Arabia Central Bank is remonetizing silver. They bought silver and silver miners for the first time. Silver's going through the roof. So all the BRICS countries that don't necessarily like dollar reliance and being reliant on the US dollar are buying gold and silver. On the other hand, you've got the US that is trying to resist that and keep everybody on the dollar standard, and they're going all in on stablecoins. I don't necessarily know or think Bitcoin is the primary benefactor to what the United States is trying to do by bringing on more stablecoin volume or injecting more liquidity into stablecoins that will ultimately, most of that liquidity will go to purchase treasuries, which will bring rates down, right? So the U.S. needs buyers for their debt, and in order to do that, they're promoting stablecoins. I think that the primary benefactor of increased stablecoin liquidity is Ethereum. I think you've got some other protocols. I think you've got some other bets that you can make. I think you could potentially buy Circle. I think Circle is a really good buy when rates end up bottoming out. So Circle revenue heavily dependent on rates. They put all their money into treasuries, right? So when rates are low, their revenue is low, but when rates are high, their revenue goes up. So I think Circle's a good bet. I think anything that benefits from stablecoin, I think XRP will be a good bet. But primarily right now, I think Ethereum is a really solid bet because I think it's the primary benefactor to what the U.S. is trying to do when you look at the macro global picture of fiat collapse and what the U.S. is trying to do to stop that and what other countries are betting on. Other countries, like China's not aping trillions of dollars into hundreds of billions of dollars into Bitcoin. They've chosen gold. So I think you want to own gold, silver, and ETH like that. Those are my primary bets right now. Like I'm very bullish on gold, silver, and ETH. So like I don't necessarily know that the U.S. buying Bitcoin is. I don't know that the U.S. benefits from that, and I don't think that's where they're going to be placing the bet. I actually lean more towards them trying to accelerate the amount of stable coins that move on chain. And I think it's going to be all in on ETH. I think the US, if I'm more bullish on the US buying on the idea of the US buying ETH than I am Bitcoin, but I don't necessarily think they're going to buy either. I think they're just going to push a ton of stable coins and do everything they can to make it easier and easier to push dollars on chain. Kind of a contrary opinion there. Not bashing Bitcoin. I'm very bullish on ETH and what they're trying to do with stables.
Yeah.
Gold did just break all-time high yet again. It's over 3,600.
El Salvador just came out and said they just bought $50 million worth of gold. So,
yeah.
Guys, you see the news? It's official. Mike Tyson's getting back in the ring. This time, he's fighting Floyd Mayweather Jr. 2026. Who you putting your money on there, Rob?
I don't know.
Come on, this is the easy one. You got to go Mayweather, right?
Yeah.
Forrest, Mayweather or Tyson?
Mayweather's younger, I think sharper. If Tyson, and Tyson's a heavy hitter, but Mayweather just doesn't get hit. He never gets hit. So I don't know that Tyson can land a punch on him. I think he'll tire out. He's a little bit older. Mayweather can't say no to, big payday like this. So I think Mayweather will win it. Put it this way, if Tyson wins, then the Jake Paul fight was rigged.
Yeah.
If Mike Tyson goes out and beats Floyd Mayweather, but then he couldn't take on Logan Paul or Jake, whichever one it was, then we'll know for sure that the Paul fight was rigged.
Yeah, a lot of people were talking about that. What do you got over there?
Just a little.
Oh, this is what the fight's gonna look like.
Yeah. I got.
Man, yeah. The chat. Who you got your money on? Put a 1 for Tyson. Put a 2 for Floyd. 1 Mike Tyson, 2 Floyd. Who wins in this fight? Interesting. Yeah. My money's on Floyd Mayweather. I can't.
Boxing is just running out of
ideas. Let's bring influencers that aren't boxers. Yay!
You know,
And then
like-
let's bring back the let's dig up the corpse of Joe Louis and
I don't
see
know
if
why
they'll
they
fight.
want to get away from like the title fights kind of way in the Nevada Gaming Commission.
UFC's just crushed the.
Yeah, well, UFC they have one company that oversees it, that schedules it, that it's instead of having just fight promoters and managers and states, it's just there's no like cohesive like way of formulating a path to have new fighters come in and challenge, right? It's just it doesn't work anymore, man. Even the pay-per-view model is not even working anymore. UFC signed with, I think it's ABC, one of the big networks. I believe it's ABC. And so now they're going to get away from the pay-per-view model, and it's going to be...
Are you talking about UFC?
Yeah.
It was, I believe the deal was with Paramount.
Yeah, it's Paramount and CBS, Paramount, ABC. I don't know, whoever Paramount.
It's not going to be pay-per-view, but you're right. It's not going to be pay-per-view.
Paramount and CBS. Yeah. So
CBS?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm not like super excited to watch it, but I'll definitely watch it. All right.
It's going to be so bad, dude.
You think so?
Yeah, the other fight was so bad with Jake Paul. Terrible.
Horrible. All right, let's talk about Ben Franklin. Bringing you that digital asset treasury, leaving a hint. Which one could it be? I don't know. We had that NASDAQ. We had the NASDAQ guidance we shared yesterday where they're thinking about making these companies get shareholder votes before they can start buying crypto with their investors' money. And so, Forrest, you want to speculate on what Franklin Templeton might be investing in, digital asset treasury?
I think if that's what this is about, then maybe CryptoPunks. There's a pretty large CryptoPunk sweep the other day. I think they bought like 10 punks.
Really?
So I think that would be. Yeah, there's speculation that it was like such a large sweep that it was probably not just a random investor. It was probably like a fund of some sort. So maybe there'll be a little CryptoPunk, or maybe it'll be like broader. Maybe it'll be like NFT, NFTs in general.
Interesting.
Fund.
Well, what would that signal? NFTs are back? I don't know. Rob asked me a question yesterday. Said, would you rather hold Pudgy Penguins or Bored Apes? What'd you say over the next 10 years?
Well, the original Pudgy Penguin or the original Bored Ape. And I said, I think the Pudgy Penguin will outperform the Bored Ape this maybe year, I guess. But I think Bored Ape's just
He thinks Bored Apes have more stay power than Pudgies do. I went Pudgies. He went the Apes. Where are you going, Forrest?
I tuned in for this argument. I was watching. Believe it or not, I do watch the stream. I enjoy it. But I gotta go Pudgy Penguins.
Hell yeah.
And I agree with David. It's just a bet on Luca. Luca's the real deal.
He is. I bought told Rob about some Pengu for the company portfolio the other day. He gave me his weird look. I was like, it's going to be good, bro. Relax. Also, I got my kids playing Pudgy Party. My son's over here getting first place already. He's like, this is my favorite game, Dad. Where can I sell these for $800?
I was looking at the game. It doesn't look that bad.
It's actually pretty fun, man. Have you played it, Forrest?
I haven't played it, but
no, but isn't it kind of like that game Fall Guys? Like you just kind of like have obstacle courses.
My son said it's very similar to that one game. It's like a Mr. B.
How do you spell penguin, anyways?
How do you spell penguin?
Yeah, I'm over here.
Oh my God.
P-U.
Oh my God.
P-E-N.
Apes are easier to spell.
Yeah. That's why he went with the Bored Apes, because they're easier to spell.
Where is it at? I've seen a lot of
What, the game? Just put in Pudgy Party.
Oh, Pudgy
Party, yeah. You know how to spell party? P-A-R-T-Y.
Shut up, bro. All right,
You spelled Pudgy wrong.
Pudgy Robbie.
So where's the gameplay
at? Go to media.
Here we go.
Click on media on the top right.
Yeah.
And you'll see all the videos. I played it. It's
looks
pretty
like,
fun.
Fall Guys.
Yeah, Fall Guys, and there was another one. Fuck, what did he say?
Yeah, I was watching some gameplay this
Right there.
morning.
It was up there, right there.
Yeah,
that's kind of the marketplace.
Yeah, I was watching some gameplay. It doesn't look. It looks.
You should
better.
download and play, man.
It looks better than what was it? Dookie Dash for Bored Apes. Oh,
Yeah,
bro, that just looks so.
First of all, what was that
cringe.
name? Who names it Dookie Dash? What a horrible advertising, you know? Hey man, what'd you do over the weekend? I was playing Dookie Dash, bro. Getting that Dookie.
You played Dookie Dash more than just the weekends, bro.
Robin said, when I use the restroom for number 2, it sounds like I'm ripping t-shirts. We gave Gina the reins to the sound effects, and well, here we are. Man, yeah, that was a great conversation. Okay, I do want to share a couple more pieces of news. This one, it's official. Make Crow great again. MCGA. McCaga. Trump Media has completed its acquisition of 684.4 million Crow tokens as part of their strategic partnership with Crypto.com. It is now stored and staked with the Crypto.com custody. So, and what did price do? Well, let's take a look at Crow. Is it top gainer? No, it's not. Where's Kronos? Kronos is up 1.5%. Oh, never mind. Up 1% on the 24-hour, down 0.28% on the 1 hour, sitting just shy of $9 billion in market cap. I'm talking about Kronos, of course. Gentlemen, any thoughts on that? I mean, you know what? Actually, I'm not going to ask your thoughts. It's pretty straightforward. And then I also wanted to talk about this. California Public Employees Pension Fund has just invested $142 million in strategy. So getting exposure to Bitcoin by proxy. California, is it the largest economy in the U.S. from a state perspective?
Yeah.
It is, okay.
Yeah, I think they would rank top 10 in GDP if California became a country.
Correct, yes. So pretty bullish news. Any thoughts on this one? Rob, I'll start with you first.
Yeah, it's surprising.
Why is it surprising? Because California's a liberal state?
No, I just it's a surprising headline. I don't think it's surprising that it's California. I don't think it's surprising that they chose the strategy stock versus buying the underlying asset. I think that, you know, when you're talking about a state and having to custody or have someone else custody for you, it's probably just a lot simpler to just say, hey, let's just buy MicroStrategy. And from a long-term perspective, I think the narrative is strategy is never going to sell. Or at least they're not going to sell in the foreseeable future. So from a retirement perspective, you're going to get a leveraged upside play on Bitcoin. Very, very, very low probability that they'll sell. You will get more downside swings, but hey, you know what? Buy it now. What do you think it's going to be worth in 10 years? Probably more than, probably bigger returns than you would get out of Bitcoin holding strategy. So I think it's a great play.
Forrest, any thoughts?
Yeah, but I do want to point out that just crypto.com is based out of Singapore, not the US, which I just find to be a interesting thing. Like why go with crypto.com from that standpoint? On the MicroStrategy standpoint.
But hold on, Forrest, could it be that crypto.com was the only large exchange that has its own token? Coinbase doesn't have their own token. Kraken doesn't have their own token. But who else were they supposed to go with, right?
Yeah, but like I just think like, all right, like there's other US based crypto companies that you could create a treasury strategy for. I don't think you have to go with an exchange. But then if you were going to go with an exchange, like go talk to Coinbase about launching a token, go talk to Kraken about launching a token. Coinbase has stock, right? Like, right. I don't know. Like, yeah. I just think like they're trying to do just like all this rhetoric about bringing making the US the crypto superpower of the world. And then you're going and partnering with crypto.com to buy $700 million worth of their token. Like, I don't know. Just like, I don't necessarily have an opinion. I'm not saying it's like a bad thing, but it's just like, it doesn't necessarily match with what the rhetoric was about making the US the crypto capital of the world, I think. But I don't know. I could be missing something there. On the MicroStrategy thing, I think MicroStrategy might get put in the S&P 500 soon. Kind of getting those vibes.
I heard they got all the from some large financial entity that weighs in on the likelihood They came in and said they checked all the boxes. I wish I had the article pulled up. I'm kind of just loosely speaking here, but seems like the experts are saying that they're going to get in. Yeah. Interesting.
All right. That'll do for the show today. I did end the last poll. Will rate cuts send markets up or down? 72% of you believe it's going to send the markets up. Anything else, gentlemen, for tornado us out of here for us? Any parting words?
No, I mean, I know I give a lot of mixed views today, but I'd say like I'm kind of bullish for the next 30, 60 days. Fingers crossed, knock on wood. Like I hope the market finally finds a way to rally. MicroStrategy getting the S&P 500, that would certainly spark a rally, I would hope. So yeah.
A lot of money that's going to move.
I got my fingers. I got my toes.
Think about every person that has S&P 500
now has
some of that liquidity will, or some of that money will go into strategy,
which will give them more money to what? Buy more Bitcoin. Gino, roll the outro. I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. It was an amazing week here with you. Come back next week. Make sure you sub channel Hedera video I did this morning. Dropped earlier. Go watch it. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Sin City Crypto. Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I spit the game, but they gave it. Named according to your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy the dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming hola till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.